Last week, Rob, the NFL world went into a tizzy when it was announced that Rob Gronkowski would make a big announcement this week.
Right.
Obviously, a lot of people were expecting him to come back, to the Patriots and join Tom Brady again for another run to the Super Bowl. Instead, his big announcement today, was that he is going to promote players being able to use CBD. That's cannabis, medicinal cannabis, for their pain relief.
Wait a minute.
A lot of ex-players I know a lot of NBA players getting into that business.
Well, because
Paul Pierce, Steven Jackson, Al Harrington.
There's a big market. A lot of people in this country smoke. I have never smoked, Chris, ever. It doesn't appeal to me, but a lot of people smoke, I guess, and that's why.
I'm with you. I've never smoked a cigarette. In college, I did try.
Did you inhale?
Smoke a joint a few times. I tried. I think I did it wrong because all it did was burn my throat.
So you didn't do it right? You're not supposed to do that.
I mean, I did get, I guess, a little bit of a high, but it burnt my throat.
Can you believe?
So
I'm a 55-year-old black man. I've never even put weed to my mouth. Ever.
So black man, it makes it.
No, I'm just saying
that qualify. Well, hold
because
on. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Most people assume that
when we were coming up, it was called pot, right? And it was more prevalent among, at least where I remember, white guys.
Oh, no doubt.
They were smoking pot, right? It wasn't this huge
I went to a white college, so I'm saying.
We both did. And I even just high school, junior high, I remember white kids smoking pot. And, not that there weren't black kids that did what they call reefer back then.
It was reefer, that was
But
right.
it was more prevalent among white youth, in my experience. I'm not, and actually surveys do show now it's pretty much even. But
but I never did it. But it's not because I wanted to be a goody good. I just didn't. It didn't appeal to me. Like I've never smoked a cigarette. I was just never interested in that. Never.
Yeah, it's getting pretty big, obviously now, and that was what Gronk wanted to announce. But of course, people were interested in what he had to say about football, with Andrew Luck stepping down at age 29, as Gronk did. He was 29 when he stepped down. Here's what Gronk had to say.
I want to be clear to my fans. I needed to recover. I was not in a good place. Football was bringing me down, and I didn't like it. And I was losing that joy in life, like the joy. I'm sorry right now, but I really was, and I was fighting through it.
Did you hear
that,
Chris?
Saw that, did you see? I saw it. He was about to cry.
He was
on the verge of tears, and it just tells you how painful it was. Let me just say this. I know where you're gonna go, and I'm just gonna say something real brief, and then you go where you want to go, and I'll respond.
Yep.
I didn't play football at the highest level, obviously. I didn't even play in college. I played through high school. I loved football. It's my favorite sport, more so than basketball.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. And I thought about even walking on. I was recruited, small schools, Division III, to play football, but I thought about walking on Division I. That's how much I loved it, like Syracuse or something like that. But the older I got, the more painful it became. I'm just talking about high school football. And I was a running back early in my high school career. And by the last two games of the season, I was basically ready for it to be over.
Wow.
As much as I loved it, because it was just painful. And then, I became a receiver. And it was just like, if I could, I would have played football in college at Division III if I could have just played in the games. But I didn't want to. Practice is what ate you up. And you're just, it's painful. And again, that's at high school level. So imagine these guys that went through big time Division I football.
Right.
Then they're in the NFL. I get what Gronk was saying. I mean, it is painful. These guys are straight up modern day gladiators. And somebody who really hasn't played at that level, or maybe never played football at any level, it's hard to understand just how tough and physically grinding that sport is.
No doubt about it. But just to hear a guy who had so much success, this is not a guy who played on some bad team, Chris, got his butt kicked, lost a lot of games, He played at a high level. They won a lot of they won championships. Yep. And this guy said, football brought me down. Did you hear it? Rob G, can we play that one more time? He said that football brought him down. Here we go. Listen.
I want to be clear to my fans. I needed to recover. I was not in a good place. Football was bringing me down, and I didn't like it. And I was losing that joy in life, like the joy. I'm sorry right now, but I really was, and I was fighting through it.
He was losing the joy in life by playing
when you're in
football.
pain,
right?
when you wake up in the morning and you're physically in pain, that's not even talking about just whatever head trauma you might suffer,
right?
But just the physical, your legs, your arms. He talked about he pulled a quad, I think, in the Super Bowl, and he was crying at night in the bed after they win the Super Bowl because he's in pain. So I get it. Yeah. But go ahead, because I'm going to say this. Let me just
go ahead.
Because I know you. Look, I don't think this means that there's going to be a trend of guys retiring.
Oh, there's already a trend. You're kidding yourself.
There's not.
Yes,
there's two guys. And they're both injured. Now, guys, if they're physically banged up and, yeah, they could get out there and play, but they're really banged up and in pain, then guys are going to step down, and that's fine. And it's actually probably what they should do. Especially the money in football now is so big that you can make, millions, and then you don't have to play a full 10, 15 years.
But you're making the argument on why this trend is going to be more prevalent.
No, I'm about to tell you the truth. Because for every Rob Gronkowski, there's a Jason Witten. Jason Witten's coming back. Jason Witten played 16 years, 15 years, and now he's coming back at age 37 to play.
What do you think,
Jerry
Jason?
Rice played till he was 42. Tom Brady is 42 and going strong, wants to play at least 3 more years. It's different individuals.
I'm telling you, you're going to have more 29. You never had a 29-year-old.
Really? How about Jim Brown?
Well, but he wasn't making any money. That's why he quit football. So
what? He stopped. How about Barry Sanders?
But that's why. Barry Sanders is another one.
Calvin Johnson. I mean, I'm just saying, this is a few guys, and there's always been a few guys.
I think you're missing the boat. I think guys make more money now. I don't think guys are going to allow themselves to put up with the pain, have their bodies beat up, not be able to play with their kids, or have to suffer. And I'm telling you, you'll see more of it when guys realize, and this is what normally happens. When you see big guys, it's like the LeBron thing. I always say this. He didn't start it, Chris, and I'm talking about when they started resting players. He didn't start it. So I'm not blaming it on him because that was Popovich, okay?
Right.
But when they started seeing a player of LeBron's caliber taking time off during the season, they said if LeBron can do, you follow the leader. If LeBron can do it, then it must not be the worst thing in the world. And I'm a good player as well, a star player. Other guys followed his lead. They're now going to look and say
something different.
No,
Resting
but I'm saying
games is different.
But I'm telling you, they're going to look
your job.
They're going to look and say a 29-year-old guy with $60 million on the table on Andrew Luck, but he still could have worked through it, Chris.
No,
he
but
still could have worked
you're
through
off,
it.
Rob. And I'm not saying you might not see more. If you were pointing to a Patrick Willis or somebody like that who was healthy, then I give it to you. But guys who are healthy aren't, and Gronk, he can say he feels fine now. Gronk was always banged up. He missed 29 games over his last 7 years. And I can point to a Larry Fitzgerald. Why is Larry Fitzgerald still playing?
Has nothing else to do.
He's on a horrible team. No, he's very smart. You know his dad. His dad's a sports writer. Larry Fitzgerald's very intelligent. He's got a lot of other interests, but he loves football. You know it, Rob. In every field of endeavor, in every walk of life, including sports writing, there are people that love it and wouldn't do it for free. And there are people that like it, and once they get the money, they're going to step away. It's the same thing in pro sports.
But there are also those people who just don't identify with anything else, and that's why they hang around the press box till they're 75, even though they don't work for anybody. All I'm saying is, I think that these things, when you start to hear this, people will reevaluate and wonder. We've already seen a drop in kids playing football, people with the CTE, you're going to start to see where people are going to say, you know what? I made enough money. I'm good. I don't want to put my and they might not be in the condition, and I'll give you that, Chris, that Andrew Luck is in, which is more dire.
Or even Gronk.
But they might say to themselves, I don't want to get to that place. This is not, I don't feel it the same way that I used to, and I don't want to be, I'd rather get out early than too late, and I think you'll see more of it. That's all I'm saying.
We'll see. I mean, like I said, I think Andrew Luck is a different, and so is Gronk. They're different to me because their bodies were banged up. And some people, and this, look, those two were warriors. We know it. Two of the best, in the league at their position, and big and strong guys. But different people's bodies, some of it's genetic. Some people's body, everybody's body can't go through an 82-game NBA season. Everybody's body can't go through multiple years of 16-game NFL seasons. And some guys can. A Chris Carter, a Jerry Rice, a Tim Brown. For every guy like Gronk or Andrew Luck, we can get a guy who's either playing now or retired to come on and say, I love it.
I think the more
I watched Damian Woody today, our former colleague. He was like, I'll play 18 games. I love it. I mean, there are guys that you love it more than others, and guys whose bodies, whose physical makeup can take it, whereas other guys can't.
I think that there will be, because of all that people see and all the more knowledge we have and all the other things, I just think that there's a better chance that you're going to start seeing more players bow out earlier. That's all I'm saying.
It'll remain to be seen.
I didn't say you're not going to be able to field the team, but I'm just telling you, I think that that's going to be the case.
Are the early retirements of Andrew Luck and Rob Gronkowski the start of a trend in the NFL? We will continue the conversation with you next.
All right, let's start with Matt in Omaha. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. Matt, what's up?
Hey, guys. So I don't think we're quite there yet for that trend, but I think it's really, really close. I think, the NFL is a business, and the players, it's just as much of a business to them. But I think of all that guaranteed money that they're getting, and they're going to understand that. They'll play a couple of years. They've got that guaranteed. They can just ride it out, sail it out, and just go from there. And I think with Ezekiel Elliott, what he's doing, he's understanding that too, and he's going to hold out and protect his body until he gets to that point and get the money that he needs or wants. But more and more guys are seeing what's going on. This concern of their health and their bodies and their minds has never been more prevalent than ever before than now, and people are actually speaking out about it. So we're almost there on that trend, not quite, but just about.
Okay, and Matt, yeah, I hear you, and I think that years ago people would have been the idea that you would quit and walk away, but the money has made a difference. So
and also when you get that money, like you said, what if you make $50 million? Now, yeah, you could make another $100 million if you stayed, but $50 million's enough,
right?
For you to be able to retire and live a nice, comfortable life the rest of your days. So yeah, that can certainly make it. Whether it's concern about the physicality. Whether it's just, I don't love it. I like it. I did it for a living. It got my family out of poverty or whatever. I was able to take care of my mom. Now I'm good. I want to say, whatever the reason, the money does give guys more options than they used to have.
No doubt about it. Braxton in Kansas, you're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What you got?
Hey, I'm just saying, I don't really think, Gronk and Andrew Luck, I don't think that's really going to start a trend. I mean, you got players like Big Ben, he had years where he was banged up. He's still playing in his 30s. You got Matt Stafford, a little younger. He seems to be banged up all the time, but he's still playing. I think it's like a rare exception. I don't think it's going to start a trend or anything, because you got like top-name, high-paid quarterbacks like, Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers have been beat up, but they still go at it. I don't think it's going to be a trend. I think players will get banged up, and they'll just tell themselves, hey, part of the job, I'm sticking with it.
All right.
Yeah, we just all have to wait and see. I'm with the caller, but, we don't know, Rob. We'll have to wait and see, as we said.
Yeah, I just think that there's a chance, only because of, Chris, before the money wasn't this large.
Right.
And it does make a difference when you look back and go, do I want to go through this? You know what I mean? I don't have to. I have $50 million in the bank. I don't have to put myself through this. How about Vince in Chicago? You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Vince?
What's good, CB? What's good, Big Rob?
How you?
What's happening?
All right, man. I'm going to get a little ahead on Trash Talking Tuesday and call out Rob for this take on guys retiring early becoming a trend.
Uh-oh.
Rob, I got 2 words. No way, no how.
That's 4 words,
Just
but we'll take it.
Wow.
Just like more guys are knowledgeable about the game now, more teams are knowledgeable, and they're going to learn from this Andrew Luck situation. They're going to learn, hey, we got to protect our guy. Let's get him an O-line. Let's make him slide. Also, there's too many guys willing to play football, too many guys for it to make it a difference or a trend. I'm with Chris on this one. Score 1 for him. Rob, you're dead wrong. Cue the music.
All right, we'll just wait and see. We'll wait and see down the road when some other big
got
guys.
got a little attitude to
He
him.
got a little swagger, Vince.
Right.
That's all good. All right, Max in Georgia, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Max? Uh-oh. We got him?
Chris, always a pleasure.
What's up?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Go ahead.
So for me, it's the thing that's not being focused on enough is the opioids and the anti-inflammatory epidemic. It's a national epidemic, but we'll talk about sports only. The athletes don't have an alternative.
Well, let me ask, do you think that, I mean, you brought that up. I'm curious, does that have something to do with this, in your opinion?
Yes, because when you think about it, like what Rob said, Gronkowski in this discussion, he was almost crying. I think more than that, it was about you can make enough money in your life, no doubt, guys, but whether or not you can live long enough to actually enjoy that money is a different story. And with those drugs, you may not even live to be 50. And if you do, you're living a daily struggle of taking those pills. Those pills are almost just as worse as dying. So the CBD is the alternative, and I think Rob is a clear example. If you look at him now, he's talking about he's healthy, he's feeling better. Sure, it helps not playing football, no doubt, but that CBD is that natural way to help your body. And what's worse about it is these companies have known about this for years, but they're worried about their bottom line. I don't want to get too political, but that's just my opinion.
So you're talking about the players taking these drugs just to, like painkillers, just so they can get out there.
Just so that they can play.
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is even when he said it almost broke up, Chris, real quick, he was saying how football was bringing him down and he had no joy in life. I thought that was just interesting. Do you know what I mean? There was no joy in winning Super Bowls. You got money. He was the life of the party. He was the frat boy. You know?
Well, a lot of people put up fronts.
No, I know.
But I think that was related to the pain. If you're constantly in pain, it's going to be hard to have some joy. A former colleague of mine, and Rob knows him as well, has known him for a long time. We worked together at the New York Times. He's the NFL columnist for Bleacher Report, has been covering the NFL in tremendous fashion for 2 decades plus, I believe.
Yes.
Mike Freeman. Mike, what's happening, brother?
Wait, we got 2 legends on the radio.
Oh,
at the same. This is
you
like,
and Rob.
This is like Montana and Brady.
Oh my!
In the same office.
Wow.
This is crazy. Crazy. I didn't even know they allowed 2 brothers to be on the radio show at the same time.
That's right.
We breaking ground, man.
We
breaking
are.
Ground.
But before we got,
and it happens in Trump's America too.
That's right. That's right.
But before we get there, we appreciate the kind words. We said it before you came on the air. You do a great job covering the league, and Chris and I, we already said you worked for the Big Three before they were the Big Three in the NBA with the Boston Globe, the Washington Post, and the New York Times. So you're a guy we admire and respect, so we're glad to have you on our radio show.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And back at you guys. You guys have always been terrific, really good at your jobs, and always been very kind to me, so it's appreciated. So thank you.
Well, Mike, I read your column. I don't know if it came out today or yesterday about Andrew Luck. Great story. You said executives, you were talking about their reaction to it. Rob and I were just talking about this. I don't think this is necessarily the beginning of a trend of guys retiring in their primes. Where do you, Rob does think it is.
Because
where
they
do you
have
fall
money.
on this?
Yeah.
I don't think it is. I think Andrew Luck he's just in a very unique position because he had $100 million in his pocket, so he could afford to walk away, and that's the big thing. Some guys that play don't have that kind of money. Not everyone in the league is a quarterback that makes the kind of money. You guys know that. So he had a lot of comfort that he could fall back on. And also, I think football was very important to him, but it wasn't everything to him. He just had, I think he had, to me, what is a proper perspective. For him, life was more important, being able to pick up your kid in 10 years, not forgetting where you put your car keys in 10 years. Your brain is okay, your body is okay, and he thought more about that. And I don't know about you guys, I can't fault somebody for that. It's just, to me, I think that's a proper perspective, and it's very different because in the NFL and in football, you are taught to not have that perspective. It's the opposite. It's these guys, their whole career, from the time they started playing when they were 10 years old until now, was always football first, team first, life later. And he has had that conditioning, and he flipped it on his head and went and decided to retire. And I know people think that he may come back. I don't think he's coming back.
I don't either. I don't see that. But, Mike, the reason I think that this could be is people do follow that. You know, they look at a guy, and I get it. He's got quarterback money. But still, with the CTE and all the other issues going on, I think guys now, if they can make some money, make some good money, and can look at themselves and say, where do I want to be? Do I want to drop dead at 55? Do I want to get up and be in pain and be addicted to pills to make me feel okay to live? Or do I want to get out? I think people are going to start looking at trying to get out sooner than later. That's all I'm saying.
All right, now that I definitely agree with, sooner than later. Yeah, because you're already starting to see some of that, over the past 5 years. You've seen, maybe going back even 10 years, you've seen guys take that approach. But the number of guys that have retired, what we would call early, is very small. Mm-hmm. But I do think you're right about the head trauma stuff, and just overall, I mean, I know you guys know this. You talk to players. You've been around the NFL. I don't know if people fully understand what the sport does to their bodies of these guys.
Oh,
it's crazy. I mean, I remember the first time I went on the sideline, I heard the noises. It's like car crashes.
Right.
I mean, it's crazy, and people don't get it, and people don't fully understand what it does. And the fact that some of these guys play just 5 years, let alone 10 or 8 or 12, is amazing to me. So I think, Rob, you got a point. I think people are going to say, players are going to say, maybe if I got enough money, maybe if I can take care of my family, maybe I step out a year or two early. Yeah. I think that's fair.
Okay.
It's the Odd Couple. We're joined by NFL columnist Mike Freeman of the Bleacher Report. Mike, what are executives saying? Because Rob and I were talking yesterday, and we were looking at Ryan Grigson, the former GM of the Indianapolis
Colts.
Didn't
do a good job.
He didn't put it. You know how pressured and how often Andrew Luck was sacked. I think he was hit more than any quarterback in the league when Grigson was the GM. Are executives looking at that and kind of talking about the Colts just didn't protect their, franchise quarterback? And you look at Kyler Murray, you look at Cam Newton. I mean, it's pretty late for Cam, but are teams going to take a different approach because of what happened to Andrew Luck?
100% on Grigson and what people think. The thing I've heard a lot is one of the reasons why Andrew Luck retired early is because the Colts screwed him. They just did. They just didn't protect him early in his career. Right. He was absolutely just blasted, play after play, all the time. And if you look at a lot of the successful quarterbacks, I mean, Brady's a little different, but he's still instructive. Once the Patriots saw that Brady was the guy, they did everything to protect him. They drafted tons of linemen. They put weapons around him. And, you see what happens. That's sort of a basic thing. And what the Colts did, the mistake they made, you mentioned Cam Newton. That's a good example. I've seen some of that there. But the mistake the Colts made was every time Andrew Luck got hit and hit hard, he got back up. So they thought, all right, well, he's surviving all this. So we're going to go elsewhere.
And they won games, too. Winning. And they were winning, which, you know what I mean? You kind of look past it.
Exactly. So they took his health, for granted. They didn't build with the interior of the line. They didn't build the line. They didn't build anything to protect him. And I think this is what you see. Now you see the new management, and now you see the new GM. They got a really good guard who is terrific. They're building the interior. And now, I mean, he's gone, so it's not going to help them. But they realized we got to protect this guy. And I think in moving forward, look, teams always want to do that. Obviously they want to protect the quarterback, but I think moving forward there's going to be an urgency. There's a real sense of that this is a cautionary tale. That will this happen all the time? No, but this is a cautionary tale for if you don't protect your guy, this is what can happen. And Cam Newton is a good example. I think the Panthers are better now at it. They're better at trying to protect him. They've taken some of the pressure off of him with McCaffrey. They're doing that, but early on they were the same way, and Cam Newton got blasted all the time too.
Hey, Mike,
so teams going to be careful.
We only have like about a minute or so, but I do want you to chime in on the Cowboys situation. Who's going to blink? Is it going to be Jerry or Ezekiel Elliott? I mean, he did speak yesterday, and kind of said, "Hey, I want to be a Cowboy," but Emmitt Smith played in Arizona for a couple years too, so he kind of threw that out there. You like the way he slid that in there?
That was good. Who's going to blink? Honestly, I don't know. And a lot of it depends on how long. Will Zeke, if Zeke misses the first game, if this holdout goes into the first game of the season, and and Pollard, his backup, gets 120, 2 touches, the Cowboys win, the pressure goes to Zeke, Jerry will be like, I'm not going to do anything. It all depends on if Zeke comes back for the opener and how Pollard does then, because the part of this that you can sort of look back on with history is with Emmitt Smith, first 2 games.
Yep.
Emmitt Smith missed the first 2 games. Jerry blinked.
Right, because they went 0-2. Right.
They went 0-2. So if something like that happens, you'll see Jerry bring Zeke in. But I think Zeke seems pretty determined. He and Melvin Gordon's holding out in San Diego, seem very determined. And Zeke, Gordon does not have a point. Zeke has a point.
Yeah, I think Gordon's in trouble.
Yeah, I think so too. Zeke is really talented, and they built the entire offense around him. So he's got a point, and I think he's going to try and make it. And I think this could go on for a little bit.
He's Mike Freeman, NFL columnist for Bleacher Report. Mike, great job as always,
appreciate you, Mike. How's the family?
Thank you. Very good. Everybody's good. Yeah,
great.
We're good.
Good. Well, we'll be reading you, and we'll get you on when the season starts.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, brother.
Yep.
Peace.